you're coaching with Sligo at the moment with Tony McEntee, and sort of a mixed season for you guys. You had three losses on the bounce in the league, and then subsequently 3 wins. Went out against Mayo in the championship. Obviously Mayo were red hot favourites, but put a decent performance together, and now in the Tailteann Cup and 2 wins out of 2. And what's the season been like for you guys? I know you were very close to Tony, obviously with your Cross McLean connection, and he seems to be one of the top managers out there. How are your thoughts on the season so far, I suppose, with Sligo, and can they compete for silverware this year?
Yeah, well, I suppose the conversation with Tony was fairly short. The opportunity to get to work with him was a no-brainer for me. Obviously played with him across McGlen, then was coached to win a couple of All-Irelands with him, so I know his style and in terms of how he manages, but then also the type of football that he wants to play. So I found it a great opportunity to work with him, but then particularly to work with that group of players. Would have been talking with him fairly regularly this past few years in terms of the calibre of player, the type of player that they have, and they have a real good group over there. So it's been an eye-opener. Whenever you're playing, you're dedicated and you're invested, but the vast majority it's just in yourself. We're now that role where I suppose that the first bit, it took time to find your feet. You have to know your space, when to talk, when to listen, take in your surrounds in terms of taking the lead from your management. So Tony, he's your head man, you have Joe Keane, he's the head coach, and you have myself, Kevin McLaughlin from Mayo, Colin McGee from Sligo. We're being left detailed with most of the coaching stuff, but I find it a very good dynamic, something that I'm learning and all the time enjoying. And I think it was probably good just with the new rules coming in that everyone was trying to learn at the same time. And we've had to tweak things as it's gone along, but so has everybody. But in terms of the season, the league started poorly, and maybe a lot of times at Division 3-4 level, the season runs away from you with a poor start, but I would have to put a huge amount of credit down to the environment that Tony and the management team had already created with those group of players, that there was everyone stuck at it, everyone just stuck to the point in terms of this is what we're trying to do and this is what's going to work for us. And that's what the season turned, because the players' buy-in and the players' commitment to sticking it out finished the league very strongly. And then the big one was going into the Mayo game. Obviously you're playing a Division 1 team, they'd just been in the league final, Division 1 league final, and you're going away from home. But again, it's a cliche, it was all about a performance. If we could execute what you're trying to do all year, we knew we'd have an opportunity that you'd be there right at the death. And to be fair, Mayo probably just kept us at arm's length. A couple of late 2-pointers really put a sweat on for them, but I certainly think that the Sligo players left that day actually disappointed, that they then realised as the game wore on there was a bit more in them, and there was that opportunity that Cavan have now took last weekend. So it was positive to see the disappointment within the group, I have to say, because they're not for moral defeats anymore. They want to play at the top level, they want to take big scalps, and now we're cranking things up as we come to the Tailteann Cup. We had a good first day win against Tipperary. Struggled past Leitrim at the weekend and got asked plenty of questions and maybe a wee bit of luck to get across the line. But you need that. But it sets them up where they want to be. They have 2 from 2 and the big game now against Kildare to see who can top the group. And again, you avoid that preliminary quarter-final or straight into a quarter-final with a home game. That is massive. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to be part of it, and it's exciting for the players to be having big days out in good weather.
Yeah, 100%. But from a coaching point of view, like I haven't been involved in the game since it's changed, and it has changed a lot. Like it's nearly a different game. Like not only viewing the game, but like seeing the positional nuances. You have to keep 3 back, one-on-ones. There's a lot more one-on-ones if you can transition the ball quickly. In training, have you kind of honed in on that? Do you work on set plays and maybe trying to get someone outside that 3-point arc or the 2-point arc to get a score, or is it still the same like training mindsets? Is it still going to get in the numbers, running the distance, and I understand with all the stats and everything else, it's about shot conversion rates, all this sort of stuff. But I mean, is there any specific training that you have came up with to kind of look at the new rules? Because you do see a lot of one-on-ones now, and for me, the big teams who are winning them big games have the guys that can mark one-on-one now. Yeah. And is it something, or even the forwards that can take a man on one-on-one? Is that something that you've been working on, or is it something do you see that's going to be a part of the game going forward? Is in this more specific training for specific positions, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, in fairness, you mentioned Joe Keane. He's a Mayo man. He's been Tony's head coach throughout his time there, and Tony, they're very forward thinking. But everything is sort of based positionally. So how we're going to defend as a unit, how we're going to attack as a unit. You're breaking your sessions down into them, and you're really going after what you mentioned. There are phases where it's going to end up a slow attack, and you need to be able to break that down. You need to be able to break it down by running it, break it down by drawing people into a full forward lane, creating space around that arc for the two-pointer. But then there also is that opportunity, which I'm not sure a lot of teams have really nailed down, the quick transition. I think we're still seeing more of that close play attack that you're talking about than is necessary. And I think that's just through years of how the game had evolved. That I certainly see in terms of Sligo and watching opponents, not only when we're watching a Tailteann Cup, but just across the board, there's opportunities for that just 30-metre foot pass that you have your opposition players running back, but you're not giving them that time to get back and get set. And I certainly think that it's an area that we can get better at, that we're trying to get better at. But I see every county across the country has that. There is that window, that's the big one that they will, they'll hone in on, they'll get better at. In terms of the one-on-one stuff, it's absolutely key, and it is something that you're trying to create those opportunities within your training games or your training drills, because everything, and you know it yourself from your time, I suppose maybe the latter end of your playing career, your Dublin career, it was more a controlled environment, but an awful lot of it will eventually go back to what you knew just as the norm, in terms of having that opportunity to secure your own ball, turn and look for that inside pass. That is coming back into vogue again, but everyone needs to be in sync in terms of, are you creating that separation from your halfback that you can get that ball and you know straight away, well, I have someone ahead of me now, this ball's going in inside lane, and then the players are coming flooding after it. It's certainly an easier way to get scores, and one that we are trying to develop, and that's the bit that I actually enjoy, is that you get the opportunity to sit, to look back, review games, and you pick out your clips that seeing's believing for me, seeing's believing for our managing group, where you can just show them. It might be one or two clips where you say, this is us not moving it quick whenever I think the opportunity is there, and look what happens whenever you do it, so it can be done. It can be done. It's just what players are seeing themselves. Yeah,
just with the new rules, you have to keep 3 up and 3 back.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anybody keep 4 or 5 up or 4 or 5 back. So this is the kind of the mindset I have, is why do we have to play to the rules we're given? Well, is there any team out there that you've seen that are like doing something completely different and you're going, maybe that could work? Because what I see what happen is, because we keep 3 up, it means you've no half forward line. And that's the key for me, is that transition that you're talking about, is moving it quickly and having that outlet kick pass. Because if you can kick that ball 40 yards off a transition, then it's 2-on-2 inside, or 3-on-3, and that is where the danger lies.
And there's no cover. So have I seen anything different? No.
Okay.
Everybody is just going back. Now, my opinion would be, I would love to see that change. I'd love the number 11 to come back into the game, because let's be honest, number 11 was probably the household name that we all wanted to be whenever we were growing up. Everything went through him. Your Trevor Jades, your Jaff Allen, your John McEntees, whatever it was, the whole game ran through them. At the moment, everyone is just getting back into that same defensive shape, knowing we need 11 back. They're used to having 15 back. They're not comfortable with 10, so they're just taking them back. I think there are certainly opportunities in the game where you cheat and you try and create that there, where you put a doubt in the mind of the opposition defender. Is he going to push on, or is he going to stay back? So say, for instance, we ended up in the Tipperary game, 2 black cards. We hadn't a black card all year. We had 2 black cards at the one time. So we had to defend with 9 against their 11. And during that time, we kept them to 1 score, which was terrific work from us defensively. But is it necessary then to always take 11 back, whenever at times, if you work hard enough, you can defend? So it is a bit of a risk to defend with 10 v 11. But if you can get that turnover and you have an extra man to play that ball through straight away, and maybe a ball ends up in the back end of the net, that's the best way to put manners, or to draw an opposition player back which then you're the one who's in control. You're not playing to their tune. So it hasn't evolved yet. Absolutely no, nothing I've seen.
Where I see it is though, when teams are chasing games, and we seen a little bit against Galway and Dublin at the weekend. It's like a different energy when they have to go after it.
Yeah,
it's like,
100%.
It's like, you know, for 40 minutes you're feeling each other out, and then next of all a goal goes in and you have to do something different. And I just feel like nobody has taken advantage of the new rule. They're told to keep 3 back, but they're not told, you know, they're just doing what they're told basically, you know, and I don't see anyone coming up with a set play different or even kickouts different. It's sort of, I think someone has something in their locker this summer, like, obviously we know what McGuinness is like tactically. Desi Farrell, I know kind of closely how tactical he can be, and I just hope that someone has something in their back pocket coming into the summer now that will make it a little bit different, make it more exciting, and make people think a little bit more, because I think it's kind of gone stale, and then it gets exciting at the end. That's what happens.
I suppose where we need to be careful is inside your head, you're seeing this opportunity and you're seeing the results of what can happen whenever it comes off. I just think too often people are just conservative with it, and they're thinking, well, what's the worst case scenario if it doesn't come off? Where I'd be a bit more like yourself. I would be more thinking, what can we create off this? And like I said, it just gives you that bit more control in terms of you're not following opposition. You're trying to play to a template that you want, that all your players are aware of. And then there's an end goal. It's the quicker we transition, you're looking for a goal. You know, it's not let's get back up and keep possession and work a close play attack and get another point. You're looking to see if you can create that goal opportunity. And that's why, for me, Kerry are the leading lights at it at the moment in terms of the new rules. And it's not that they're keeping 4 up, it's just their speed of playing the ball through lanes with 30-40 yard foot passes. It's resulted in them scoring more goals than anybody else, which is ultimately what excites.
They have the big outlet in the half forward line with Paddy O'Shea, Sean O'Shea, and they're probably the leading team in that half forward line. So again, it lends itself to what we're talking about.
So in a summation, there's certainly room for improvement.
Absolutely. So just a small bit on the Tailteann Cup, Aaron. I know obviously your team Sligo are involved in it, but who are the leaders out there? Who are the guys that are going to take the silverware this year? And can Sligo compete at that level? And should they be in the championship rather than in the Tailteann Cup with the players that they have at their disposal? Particularly Kildare, for me, in Leinster. I think they should be, you know, up the divisions and competing in Croke Park here later on in the summer. They've the talent to definitely do it, and you know, they should really be putting together a better side to compete for this thing. But in the Tailteann, who are the top players?
Well, I suppose the leading lights at the moment in terms of who have probably been the most impressive, it has been Westmeath and Kildare. Westmeath obviously dropped down just through league results this year, but they had a huge turnover of players. They were very unlucky to get relegated to Division 2, which put them in this position. But it's safe to say, particularly in Luke Loughlin, he's hitting TJ Reid hurling scores in the Tailteann Cup. He's shooting the lights out. But I think they've shown that they embraced it a couple of years ago. They went and they won it, properly embraced it, and tried to make that step up to the top division, because there is a gulf in class. The Division 1 and 2 teams are operating at a different level than 3 and 4. To me, to make that step up, the best way to do it is with genuine silverware and winning it. And to be fair to Kildare, they've come down through divisions, but they didn't really give the Tailteann Cup a run last year, in my opinion, if you're looking from the outside in. They certainly seem like they're way more focused. They were within a kick of a ball of beating Louth and making it to a Leinster final, which would have changed their season. And then look what happened with Louth the following weekend out. And I agree with you. The players are there within Kildare. They obviously have a new management set up in this year who knows them inside out as well in terms of Brian Flanagan. But it just looks like their buy-in from the Tailteann Cup is completely different this year than what it was last. We play them in 2 weeks' time, and it's a brilliant opportunity for the Sligo players. Kildare and Offaly did top their group in Division 3. And like I said, it's just the form they've brought in the championship, the fact that they beat Westmeath in a game that was in the balance, the performance and the mix of style that they put in that Louth game. It just means that, you know, if you're coming up against them, they're giving you more food for thought in terms of you're worried and wary of how they can attack you. But you would have to say, yeah, they're probably the most standout. But to be fair, I know ourselves in Sligo, nobody's even speaking about Offaly, and they have beaten Kildare twice this year and went on to win the Division 3 title, and there's not really much been said about them. And you could throw in a host of other teams there, like Fermanagh were shocked in the first day out by Carlow have come back, picked up a good win. Wicklow have then shocked Laois and beat them as well. So I think it's a brilliant competition because it gives extended runs for panels. It gives you genuine opportunity to play teams at your own level and beat them. And if you want to make that step to Sam Maguire or to Division 2, it's the best way to do it is by putting a consistency of performance in that wins you at the time of the year. There's nothing worse if you're those smaller counties where you were always taking a step back and looking at the big counties constantly playing through the summer and not getting that opportunity. Where now, thankfully, this new competition, everyone's embraced it. It gets a great slot in the calendar in terms of airwaves and coverage, and that will only enhance as the year goes on. So they would be probably your top three at the moment would be your Leinster counties in Westmeath, Offaly, Kildare, but there's certainly another group of another 4 or 5 teams who on their day will feel that they could take out any one of them.